A good day, everyone. So today I'm going to provide a short demo about how to use the OpenEMR. So before that, let me log in using an administrator account. Going to click now the button login. And after that, before I proceed with the demo on other functions, I would like to focus first on creating a new administrator account. The purpose of that is for us to have a backup account if in case there will be a problem with our other administrator account. So to do this, we go to the administration menu, we go to users. So after we go inside the menu of our user or groups, we click the button Add User. So from this, there will be a floating window wherein we need to add new details of our admin account. So before we proceed, make sure that under the access control, we need to be able to select the administrator. And after that, we need to fill out some basic information that is needed for our new administrator account. So the first thing is I'm going to create now the name of our username. So I'm going to assign admin. Before we proceed with the password, I'm going to check first the provider, the calendar, and portal. So I'll just assign the name admin for the different names requirement. Okay, so those are some of the basic data that we need. The password is your new password that you're going to assign to your new admin account. So I'm going to assign now a new password, and your password is the original or the old password based on the original administrator account. Okay. So after we input the different basic requirements, we're going to click now the button Save. Okay, so right now we have already created our new administrator account. So let us test first our new administrator account. So I'm going to log out the old administrator account. So I'm going to change it now with the new admin account. So admin and the new password. Okay, this is for the purpose of testing if we successfully created our new administrator account. So at this point, we log in successfully. So meaning to say, we were able to create now our new administrator account. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we need to set up our OpenEMR. So for the purpose of our demo, the first thing that I'm going to do is to set up how our OpenEMR works. So the first thing that we need to do is, again, we go to our administration menu, we go to clinic, and we click facilities. So from here, we need to assign now the name of our clinic. So from this, I'm going to make use of the CSAB clinic. So we'll just leave some of the information blank. All we have to do right now is to assign the most important or required data for our facility. So I'm going to assign now CSAB clinic. I'm going to click the button save. Right now, we already created our CSAB clinic. Next is we need to go back again in our administration menu, and we need to go to our practice. So practice, then we click the practice settings. So the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that we need to be able to add our pharmacy. So click the button add a pharmacy. Again, the most important part here is only the name. So again, I'm going to assign CSAB pharmacy. Then I'm going to click the button save. Next, after that we assign our pharmacy, we need to assign or create our insurance company. So again, we need to click insurance company. Again, this is under practice settings. So again, after we click the insurance companies, we need to add now the company itself. Again, I'm going to assign the name of our insurance company. Again, by default, we don't have yet an X12 partner. We'll just go back here later after we create our X12 partners. So after that, we assign our name. We're going to click the button Save again. And again, we are going to go to insurance numbers. And from here, we need to select which specific user account we're going to input our insurance numbers. By default, we can select either of these two right now. And we can assign a new value for our insurance numbers. Okay, so click Add New. Then the default is CSAB Insurance. Then after that, we can provide some of these details later. So I'm going to save our insurance numbers. Okay, and the last part is we need to assign now our X12 partners. So we're going to add a new partner again. We can say CSAB X12 partner. Okay, and we're going to click Save button. And after that, we created our CSAB X12 partner. We'll go back now to our insurance companies and we need to assign there sa CSAB Insurance the X12 partner. So here, and click the button Save. Okay, next is we need to set up also our document category. So in our document categories, this is the part where we can upload certain documents that is required uh, to our students. So for example, I'm going to click now the document categories. Again, this is under practice settings. And as you can see here, there are different document categories. So we can customize our documents here according to our need. So in my case, for example, I can create here some of the required category that is needed based on the requirement of my case study to our students. So how are we going to do this? So of course, we click the link categories. So after clicking the link which has a label categories, we need to assign a name. So for example, I'm requiring my student to create NCP, for example. So the access control of our students should be write, add only, optional. So we were given the control for our students to allow them to upload our documents. And of course, we can assign here different access control for our students. But I'm using the default uh, access control for our students. So after this, you're going to save the category. As you can see here, we already have our NCP. Again, I'm going to add another category. This time, I'm going to add drug study. I suggest that later, if the students will upload the different documents based on the requirement, I would suggest that you let them convert the document in a PDF format so that the moment that you're going to view or download the document, there will be no problems in terms of compatibility issue in the different software that we are using. Since PDF is usually a universal document right now, which can be opened by most applications, so I would suggest that we make use of our PDF converter in our Microsoft Word or other word processing software. And again, I'm going to add another. This time, I'm going to call this one Health Teaching. Okay, and click the Save category. So right now, we were able now to create the different document categories. So I'm going to skip now HL7 for now. The next thing that we need to do is we need to create our patient. So in this case, we go now to our menu and go to patient. So from here, we don't have a new patient yet. So what I'm going to do is we are going to add a new patient. So all we have to do is to fill out the needed requirements in our form, like the ones who are in red color. So from here, we can assign a specific uh, information for our patient. Like for example, Mr. Let's say Juan de la Cruz. Okay, can skip date of birth. Let's say I'm going to assign this is 19, let's say 1978. Let's say January 1. Okay, then the sex should be, let's say, male. So all of this other information can be updated uh, in the future if it is needed. So right now, for the purpose of demo, I'm going to create now a new patient. So confirm, create the patient. So if we're going to search for our patient right now, let's say, for example, if I'm going to close this, I'm going to close this one, we can go to our patient and search. So if you do not know the name of that patient, okay, we can go directly to our patient here and we can see here the name of the patient. So all you have to do is to click the link that assigned to the patient and we'll be able to see right now the different dashboard information for our patient. Like for example, if you want to edit the demographics of the patient, okay, so these are the different information needed. So we have here the different insurance, for example, for both secondary, primary, and tertiary, for example. Okay, we can also go back. We can check for the history of the patient. Okay, in case there are different risk factors. We can also check for the family history, relatives, lifestyle, etc. And we can also print the report of our patient according to our need. For example, like all you need, for example, is the patient report based on demographics. You can uncheck billing if you don't want to, for example. Then we can generate the report here. Okay, we can also upload the documents. This is the part where our students upload the documents based on the requirements. Like for example, they created a drug study for a patient, so they can upload it here so that if we want to check for the document list for our patient, is we'll be able to see right now the different information about the patient. They can also upload now the NCP, the health teaching, for example, and other pertinent document that is needed. They can also uh, check for the different transactions, for example, or issues. Okay, so these are just some basic information that is needed for our patient. Okay, so after that we have created this setup for our patient, the part we're in that we need to perform the actual visit to our patient is based on the uh, encounter for our patient. So how are we going to do this? Again, we will go back to our patient. We need to click the patient here again. Okay, then after that, we need to identify first the different data. For example, for our vitals, there's still no information about our vitals, our laboratories, for example, some clinical reminders, appointments if in case, medical problems, allergies, for example, medications, even immunizations and prescription. Okay, so these are very important things that we need to consider. Okay, so that this information will provide the whole details of our patient. Okay, so in this case right now, we need to be able to provide some practice to our patient in terms of encounter. So from here, we can click here the button plus for our new encounter. This is the part wherein there will be an established care for our patient. So we click here the plus button. Okay, so we need to be able to create new encounter for our patient. So in our case, it's Juan de la Cruz. So we need to select now the category for our visit. So for example, since Juan de la Cruz is a new patient, all we have to do is to select new patient. Okay, then the date of service, which is the January 30, 2022, and the encounter provider. So in our case right now, for the purpose of demo, we log in our admin account. Okay, of course, we can change that later on in our administration, who are the different people, especially who are the physician in charge for our patient. Right now, since we don't have yet some physicians or nurses involved, majority of the encounter will be provided by the admin account. So the available facility right now is only CSAB. And of course, we can fill out some of these details like reasons for visit. Then we can add up some other information like injuries, medical, or allergy, for example. So these are just some of the basic information. We can check also if it is outpatient, inpatient, for example. Okay, so let's say we can have inpatient encounter. Okay, so I'm going to save now. Okay, so from there, we have two options here for administrative, which involve the fee sheet, for example, the different encounter forms and billings. For our clinical, so these are very basic requirements, the care plan, clinical instructions, the different examinations, the review of system checks, the SOAP, vitals, etc. So we'll tackle this one at a time. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do always is we should always provide the vital signs. I think this is the basic requirement uh, if we have a patient. So we click now under clinical, we click vitals. So from here, we need to be able to input the different data that is needed. So again, this is only selective. Not all data should be input. Okay, so for the purpose again of demo, I'll just input, for example, the systolic and diastolic BP. So let's say 120, 80, for example, normal. Let's say pulse is 85, respiration is, let's say, 16, temperature, so you can choose if it is Celsius, for example, 37, it will be converted automatically to our Fahrenheit. So again, temp location, you can select which part, oral, tympanic, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's say axillary, this is the most common. If it has a pulse oximeter, so we can input our AutoSat. Okay, so these are just some data that is needed. So of course, not all of that are required. Okay, so after we input, we can click the button save. So right now, we already have our initial vital signs for our patient. So let's assume, for example, that we are done on that part. We can also make use of our review of system checks. Okay, or we can try the ROS or review of system. So from here, all we have to do is to check for the necessary ROS. So like for example, if the patient has a fever, we can say yes, we can click yes. If the patient is fatigued, we can say yes. Okay, so again, these are just, again, selective data, okay, that describe our patient right now. So if there are no, for example, abnormalities or any problem that occur, so we can just leave it as is and save. Okay, and one of the most important part is our uh, SOAP or FDAR. So in this case, since the system is using SOAP and since FDAR is also composed of 4 letters, we will just assume that subjective will be referred to our focus. Okay, our objective will be for our data. so on and so forth. Okay. Okay, then the students will be able to input now their data for every part of our document. Okay, so for the F, for example, so what's the data? So all you have to do is to type here. So after typing, you can just click the button save. Okay, so right now there's already our SOAP here. They will be able to see what they type in here. Okay, then they can also assign their electronic signature if in case there is. Okay, and of course, we can also check for our care plan. Okay, the different codes here. For example, if you are using, for example, LOINC or CPT for procedure or service. Okay, but again, we'll just make use of the basic requirement as of now. So as a whole, right now, we have already covered the basic requirement for our OpenEMR. Okay, so as of now, thank you so much and God bless everyone.